What up, y'all? Appreciate you showing up, hanging out, listening to my dumb ass. Like and subscribe. So, I recorded a video yesterday about the Sony losing $10 billion to blah, blah, blah. And I went to go edit it, and the audio was all messed up. So I'm trying this again. Hopefully, it won't mess up this time. I don't think it will. If it does, I'll be mad. But anyway, so PlayStation is in the worst. I mean, look, I know a lot of us on the Xbox side, we exaggerate a little bit here and there, you know. It's part of the console war thingy. It's a part of being part of one side and all that stuff. And mainly it's about smacking the ponies down, the delusionals, and the donkey unicorns. But when Hiroki Totoki comes out beforehand and says, yeah, they make good games, they just don't know how to make money. And then Sony's worth loses $10 billion. Come on, son. I mean, when's the last time you heard of a giant corporation losing that much money and the fanboys is like, oh, they're fine, they'll be all right, that's nothing. $10 billion is nothing. To a company that was worth like $95 billion, that's a lot. That's a tenth, almost more than a tenth of their worth gone in a day. Because they suck at the games. They suck at video games as a whole. I'm not saying that they make bad games. I'm just saying they suck at making games that will make them prosperous. Now, in all the stuff that I said yesterday, that got lost. Basically, Sony was in existence before Microsoft, right? Microsoft came up in the, I think it was late 70s, early 80s, I believe. I believe Sony was around in the 50s. I don't know exactly. They were around for a while. Decades before Microsoft. Decades before. Bill Gates probably wasn't even born when Sony was. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So they had all this time, Sony, to make their company big and strong, you know, a behemoth, if you will. And what did they do? They didn't do anything. They did nothing to grow. To grow their business, they didn't do that. They made radios, they made Walkman, and it's like they had some of the biggest electronics in the world. Walkman was a brand name that everybody was like, yo, yeah, Walkman. It seems like PlayStation is going to be the next Walkman. Going to be extinct because Sony doesn't know how to manage their brand. They don't know how to make money. This has been going on for decades. Ever since they got into gaming, they haven't been doing what they need to be doing. They haven't been growing the industry. They get the 200 million people, you know, video games as a whole. They get 150 if they're lucky in a generation, and then they move to the next generation. The problem is, this isn't like the old days when the new generation comes. Oh, the old generation is obsolete. New generation, everybody buys a new generation. That's not happening anymore. That's not how it works. Everyone is accustomed to the PC style of games where you have a box and it lasts you. You could play them games for a minute. And all this rhetoric about Microsoft kind of doing a hybrid console, blah, 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 or doing it in such a way that it's more like a PC. I don't want it to be just like a PC with a skin on top of it. I want the new Xbox to be able to be fluent with the PC, meaning they only need to do one version to work on PC and Xbox. This is not impossible because all they have to do is kind of create I don't want to say virtual machine, but it's like it's an alternate OS for PCs that is basically what the Xbox OS is. Now I know PC is open and they're probably afraid that they can go in that new OS that they may create that is, you know, basically an Xbox OS, and go in and do all kind of stuff and break it and whatever. I have faith in Microsoft as far as them making stuff difficult to crack and all that, but I was listening to Digital Foundry. I know you guys hate them. I was listening to them today, and I heard them how they spoke. I was paying attention this time, not just about the nerd stuff, about the tech stuff. I was paying attention how they spoke about the Sony side, like I guess it was Helldivers 2 or something, whatever it was. I can't remember what games they were talking about, but they were very nice. They were nice, if you will, as far as Sony goes, the Sony properties and stuff. They were talking about something I can't remember, and I was like, okay, you know what? Yeah, I see it now. I mean, I try to give people benefit of the doubt. You know what I'm saying? But I saw it. You know, I always know John Lennon is more of just an old school cat. So anything that supports that old school CRT lifestyle that he's running, it's all good with him. But you know, sure. And it was I think it was Richard that was kind of pussyfooting around some stuff. But anyway, the I don't know what I don't know why I went into Digital Foundry, but the 10 billion, right? You know, we've been saying this on the Xbox side. We've been looking at the industry. Like, not everybody does. Like, there's just some console warriors out there that just want to talk shite or whatever, right? And that's fun, whatever. But I've always been, and I will always say this, and I will always reiterate this, that I am more interested in the health of the industry as a whole than any particular side. Like, if Xbox leaves the industry, I doubt they will, but I'm saying if something happens and they pull a Dreamcast and Sega, you know, and they bounce, no more hardware, just software or whatever, I'm like, oh well, I guess I'm going PC. I've heard so many people say that, like, I'm trading my Xbox, I'm just gonna do PC. And honestly, to Microsoft, it doesn't matter, because PC is Microsoft. Windows is Microsoft. It's still, you know, if you're gonna buy the game, if you're gonna play their games, it's still the same to them. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't hurt the industry in any way. And so I'm fine with it. That's like you know what I'm saying? That's where I'm coming from. That's the angle I'm coming from. And I've said it before, excuse me. Sony has been on this rampage for decades to destroy competition, regardless of its effect on the industry. They don't care about the industry. They just care about making money, and that's it. And their blindness to what is happening in the industry is an illustration of their lack of leadership, their lack of skilled leadership, and their mismanagement, their piss poor management of their studios. I mean, it's like Hideo Kojima is like running every studio up in there. Yeah, $300 million, let's go. And then they put out the game. It's like, yeah, it's pretty, but you ain't selling 50 million of those. I mean, they think they're Rockstar or something. They can't do what Rockstar does. You know what I'm saying? Rockstar comes out a game every 3 generations, 2 generations. Sony can't do that. They can't do that, period. They can't even make that type of game, period. So, I mean, they should be able to make that type of game because they spend so much money on Spider-Man 2, $300 million. And what happened? It's a one and done. It's an open world one and done. Come on, man. Didn't they cancel the Spider-Man multiplayer stuff, or they're pushing that back to the Spider-Man 3? Man, it's just, yo, Sony's down bad a lot, and you know, it's funny when it's like the fanboys got nothing. I mean, they've had nothing like this whole generation. They be like, oh yeah, Ratchet & Clank is cool, yeah. SSD is so fast, you can't power the SSD. And then it comes out on PC with a hard drive, a super slow hard drive. It's like, oops. You know, everything, it's like all of the narratives that they try to conjure up, they get destroyed, they get smacked down, they get got, basically. And so I'm like, look, I was reading a tweet somebody said, and basically they were right. They said Sony has a couple of, I think 3 options. I can't remember what they were, but it was either downscale, downsize, basically. scale back like the projects that they do, or the scope of their projects, fire people, or charge more again. I mean, they already charged more for everything, and that didn't work. Y'all remember, right? They charged more for the console. They charged more for PS Plus. They charged more for games. They raised the prices across the board on PlayStation, and they still lost $10 billion. How is that not mismanagement? How is that like not the worst company that you've ever heard of? Like, how are y'all still in business when y'all suck? Y'all really suck at this. I mean, your games are pretty good, not good enough to get you. And when the CEO, the acting CEO, is sitting there like, yeah, I mean, you know, I've been looking at these games, and they're great games. We have very talented people, but they just don't know how to make money. That's like your boss is like, yo, you suck at your job, kinda, sorta. That's like, I mean, you got there. It's a cool product, kinda, but this isn't gonna work. And so the boss is sitting there like, well, what should we do? What should I do? I'm the CEO. What should I do with you guys who are not making us enough money? I mean, I could fire y'all, get somebody who's capable. Or I can make y'all split up into, you know, they want to split up games. Why don't you split up the teams into smaller teams and then make 3 games? How about that? How about that? Because basically that's what they're doing. They're splitting up Spider-Man into 3 parts. The main campaign into 2 parts, and the multiplayer. So the multiplayer is already one team, boom, right? And so the main team is, boom, you split that in half. You work on both parts simultaneously, I guess. I don't know what the release cadence is going to be for part 1 and part 2, but I'm going to assume that they're going to work on the whole game at the same time. But they're going to, you know, focus on the first half, and then at one point they'll polish that first half and then shift a lot of people over to the second half to finish that up in a timely manner. Anyway, Sony is, I mean, look, PlayStation is screwing everything up. They used to be the bread and butter of Sony. Now they are literally costing them to almost, I don't know what's going to happen. Look, if Sony wanted to, they could be like, you know what, PlayStation, I mean, you're costing us money. You're costing us money. You thought our movies were bad. Jesus. I mean, the movies are bad, but at least they make more money than the games. Shoot, like Spider-Verse, they make all the money because it's good movies. And they don't spend $300 million on Spider-Verse. What was the budget of Spider-Verse? 100 and something million, maybe? I don't even know. I'm just guessing. I mean, like, I just watched The Creator the other day, right? The Gareth Edwards joint with John Jacob Washington. What's his middle name? I always forget his name. Denzel Washington's kid. I sound just like him too. I'm starting to look like him too. Anyway, and it's about the little robot girl and the blah 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 and da da da. It's a robot civil war with the mans and the whatever. Tale as old as time. Anyway, so I saw that movie and I was reminded that, I mean, it's a high sci-fi movie. Excellent special effects because Gareth Edwards started in special effects. That's what he did before he was director and writer and all that stuff. And so I reminded myself that, oh, that's right. This movie, it only cost $80 million to make. Now, granted, a movie is easier and cheaper to make than a video game, yes, but how he made the game, how he made the movie was not traditional in the sense. It wasn't the studio way of making a movie where they go and they shoot a bunch of stuff and then they go back and say, oh, we need reshoots, we missing this and that and this and that and that and that and this and that, we missing all these things. They didn't do that. He shot the movie. He shot it all on location, no lights, pretty much. It's just like all whatchamacallit, you know, whatever available light, natural light that was there. He bought a cheap ass camera from Best Buy. It was a Sony camera. I think it was the X7AX. I can't remember what it was, but anyway, he did all these things. Budget's $80 million, and how he did it was he shot it all. He shot everything, right? Did zero special effects. Shot everything. You know, it was planned out, obviously, but shot everything on locations, different locations, all that stuff. And then he cut the movie together first before he did any special effects. So he finalized the shots, he finalized everything, and then they did the special effects afterwards, which saved them a ton of money because they could just, they know what the movie is. There's no, oh, we got to go back and reshoot and then do some. No. This is the movie. Effects go here. When the effects are done, then the movie's done. That's what they did. $80 million. Now, can we apply the same kind of methodology to video games? Can we say, okay, this is the game. It's planned out, right? They have to plan out a game. They make the assets, because it's all virtual. I mean, it's all computer stuff. So, you build the world. I mean, how would you do that? How can you apply that same kind of infrastructure, or I would say just this methodology of thinking, of planning? I think what it is, there's a lot of feature creep in games, right? So, there might be a late idea, it's like, oh, we're gonna add that in, and then it throws, it adds 6 months to the project, and that's money for the budget because you got to pay salaries for 6 months of thousands of people. Point is, they need to be tighter. They need to say, okay, first of all, the games are too big, they're too long. All this busy work and all, you don't need that. People don't like it anyway, right? Make the game smaller. Maximum 15-hour games. Let's go. 10 to 15 hour. Let's go, right? That alone would cut the budget down on some of these games. Second, you have to plan more thoroughly, and I would say more quickly. You say, okay, what are the environments? Here's the environments. You get your artists on there, you draw up the concept art, you start building the environments. You build them, you finalize them, boom, it's good. Let's go. I mean, I know they probably do that, but why does it take so long? And why do they need thousands of people? And don't they have a library of like objects where they can just like, yo, we need a flower pot? Or do we need to hire this studio over here to make us flower pots? Or don't we have, as Sony, as a corporation, as a video game maker, don't we have a library of objects and such that we can pull from and just throw in our games? Why is it that it's costing so much to do all these brand new assets, I guess? Or I mean, I'm pretty sure they're not all brand new assets, but I'm just saying, there has to be a way to trim the fat, and not just reusing animations like they did in God of War. Yeah, that's one way to do it, but there has to be more. There has to be more ways, and that's not even. I'm not even talking about sequels. I'm like, if you have an open world game, I mean, I know they have tree tech. I forgot what it's called. Something with trees, and you put it's the tree, and it's the tree render. I don't remember. Anyway. It's the trees come, and it's just random tree generator. They have that stuff for everything. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that with AI now. I think AI is going to help a lot. I don't know how deep Sony is into the AI, kind of what assistants or tools. I would say AI tools for their games. I'm not too sure what they're thinking about on that stuff, but. Yeah, there has to be a way to cut budgets other than firing people, or, I mean, honestly, they probably have to hire less contractors. I mean, you look at Hellblade, the first Hellblade, it's like 13 people made that game. 13 people made that game. I think 30 people made Hellblade 2, and it's still, they're going to say it's a AAA. It's a AAA indie. That's what the first game was. This is what this one is. It's basically the same length of the first game. And I'm like, how much did Hellblade 2 cost to make? You know what I'm saying? Versus $300 million for Spider-Man. And you look at the two games, it's like, okay, I mean, Hellblade is a different type of game, yes. But I think that the return on investment for Hellblade is going to be more than Spider-Man. Spider-Man sold, I think they sold like 20 million or something like that. They sold a lot, yeah. They made money, sure. Not enough. Sony themselves didn't make a lot of money because they got to pay the piper. They got to pay Marvel. Marvel got their hands out. Marvel is smacking them. Marvel's on the street. Marvel pulls up like, yo, where's my money? Where's my money? Bleepity bleep bleep. And Sony's like, I'm sorry, daddy. I mean, here you go. Brap, brap. You better make more money. I'm just saying. Marvel is pimping out Sony. Marvel is pimping out PlayStation like I did not believe. I was like, wow. And the fanboys and Sony like, yay, they're like championing it. And it's like, that's a bad business deal. There's so many bad business deals when you look at Sony's operations. It's ridiculous. And the main thing about like Hiroki Totoki, how he was talking about it, and all these, I think it was CNBC that was like, yo, this is disappointing because it's not about them not making enough money. It's about their operational costs. Now, we've been talking about this for a while. I'm sorry, I got my hand up because of that. It's about the operational costs, right? And so I'm like, yo, we've been talking about this for a minute. They're not, somebody leaked the chart where it said that Sony's operational costs are so much that they made less money than Microsoft, who didn't sell as many consoles. And I'm like, dude, that's an indication right there that, yo, it's not working. It's not working. We're not working. Boo, 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 boo. SOS, SO. I'm just saying, look. When Hiroki Totoki come out, your boss comes out like, yo, I know it was CNBC. I was like, yeah, it's disappointing that they're not making that money like they should be. The operational, it's like, I mean, look, I said this many times before. I'm an idiot, but I know that if you spend too much money to try to make money, but you don't make enough, you make a little bit of money, but you don't make a lot of money, then you need to cut your costs so you can make more money to the profit. If you have a car, if you built the car from scratch and it costs you $10,000 to build from scratch, that's what it costs you, and you sell it for $11,000, you made $1,000. Is that a lot of money? That's not a lot of money in the grand scheme of things. You want to sell it for like 50. You want to double your monies. You want to double what you put in, right? Or something like that, maybe. But nah, Sony is like, it's crazy that the incompetence at Sony, at PlayStation per se, not Sony, because Sony right now is fixing the problem. But the incompetence at PlayStation for so long, for so many years, has put Sony in this position. I say Sony because Sony lost $10 billion, not PlayStation. It was PlayStation's fault. But Sony, the company as a whole, lost $10 billion. And the ponies aren't talking about it. None of the ponies are talking about it. Nobody's talking. Well, I'm be honest. I haven't listened to Colin in a minute, so maybe he's talking about it. But whatever. But look, at the end of the day, PlayStation is in dire straits. They are losing. They're losing face. They're losing money. They're about to lose the console war. Now people say, oh, they already won the console war. It's over for this generation. I was like, no, it's not. If we're halfway through the generation and Sony is struggling and they're losing, we don't even know if Sony's going to be around to have a PlayStation. We don't even know if PlayStation is going to be the same. Maybe Sony sells off PlayStation because they just cost them $10 billion. Maybe Apple will buy PlayStation. Maybe that. Kids move. Is that what you want? Is that who said that? I don't know. Maybe that's what'll happen. They'll be like, look, this. I mean, they used to make us money, but no, not anymore. We're just gonna make some Spider-Verse movies for the rest of the time. And it seems like I said this before that Sony's creatively bankrupt. I mean, I meant PlayStation, but Sony is kind of creatively bankrupt because they see something, they start making money on something, and they double down and triple down on that instead of kind of trying to push it forward and innovate. And you may say, oh, they are innovate. They're the only console maker that has VR glasses. And I'm like, that's not innovation. They saw what the PC was doing and they wanted to get in on it. They wanted to make that money too. That's what their whole business has been ever since the inception. I could have swore that I thought that they had stolen or gotten hands of some patents like for the radio resistors or something back in the day. And that's how they started like making radios or something. I gotta look into that, but I could have swore like it seems like Sony's whole MO from jump has been just like bite whatever they're doing and try to make money while the trend is hot. That's crazy. Well, it's getting too dark. It's starting to get dirt out here. Sorry, I had to say it. But yeah, let me know in the comments below. Yo, if y'all don't know, go watch Dirt Grady's channel, We Bleed Green, WBG. Dirt Grady is his channel on YouTube. Sean and them, they're hilarious. TTS, TTMS, all of them. Anyway, let me know in the comments below what you think about the $10 billion just lost to the winds of time. Do you think Sony will ever be back on top how they were? Because, like it or not, they're not on top. They can be conceived to be on top for now only because of the amount of consoles they've sold. But monetarily speaking, worth-wise, I mean, they've lost, like I said, $10 billion of worth on the company. So they're even less than they were, which was way less than what Microsoft, because Microsoft is multiple 3 trillion plus, and Sony is 85 billion now, I think. They're not even a trillion. They were almost there, but PlayStation kind of messed it up for them. And then the big wigs at Sony is like, yo, what the, when you know you're in trouble when your parents come and like, yo, we got to talk. This ain't working. You got to go or something. I don't know. But your parents be like, you messing up stuff here. We about to lose the house. Just saying. Anyway, let me know in the comments below what you think about Hiroki Totoki, hero to save PlayStation. Or no, he's trying to save Sony first and foremost. So the fate of PlayStation is, we're gonna see what they're gonna do. Guaranteed, the games are gonna be smaller, not as big, not as voluptuous, not as the budget is gonna be lower. Basically, they have to make lower budget games, and that's what's gonna happen. And you're gonna see them. You're gonna see it. Maybe this cutting the games into 2 and 3 pieces, maybe that'll work. But we'll see about that. But yeah, I appreciate y'all. It's super dark now and super traffic, and you can tell by the red lights. And yeah, I appreciate y'all for real. We're almost at 3,000 hours. We're super close. I think I have like 100 hours left. But like I said, it's only a matter of time. I appreciate y'all. And like I said, I'm gonna keep doing this forever and ever and ever. A lot of people now, especially Dirt Grady and his crew, they say Xbox for life, and I mirror that sentiment. I echo that sentiment because of how I came up through video games. I played Nintendo. My brother had an NES and all that stuff, and I've played many video game systems throughout the history of video games, and that's what gives me kind of a overall overview of them. I'm only an Xbox fan because of its lineage with Sega, and a lot of Xbox fans are that way, Sean included. And it's just how it happened. But whatever's clever. I am gonna be Xbox for life. If they bounce out of the industry or whatever in 59 years from now, I'll be dead anyway. Then so be it. But I'll always have my first loves of games, and that's something that'll never be taken away, regardless of what happens to Sega and everybody else. So, but it's all good. But I appreciate y'all. Let me know in the comments too, what's like the first game that made you fall in love with video games? I think I asked this question way before in another video, but I don't think I got any answers. But let me know, what's your lovely love of video games? And maybe I'll do another video that's specifically about that, like earlier, so because I know you guys don't watch all the way to the end. But it's all good. I appreciate y'all anyway, and I'll talk to you on the next one. Till the wait.